Bader comes in on crutches on his birthday, and his mother brings in all these cupcakes. So the teacher turns to one of the other students and says, "Hey, will you carry the cupcakes for this boy?" And the boy she asks goes, "No, I don't want to do that." And so the teacher sees it as a teaching moment and goes, "Well, what would Jesus do?" And the boy goes, "Heal his legs so he could carry his own cupcakes." All right. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies. And I, as a liberal Democrat, go into a tremendous amount of fear about our Supreme Court. And then I thought to myself, what am I doing? What am I doing? I have this teaching, this incredible teaching that every week I get on here and talk about, that everything, no matter what the circumstance is for our good. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It must be for our good. I have gone on and on about many of the ways in which President Trump has been for our good. So how can this be any different? But I got to tell you, it was a bit of a struggle for me. I had to work at it. I had to remind myself over and over and over, and it reminded me how powerful this teaching is and how easy it is to forget how powerful this teaching is. That's what this is all about, how we got to keep digging in at the hardest of times, Trish was talking last week about how when things are going really well, that's a time we forget about our teachings too. And it's true. But it also is true that I have seen many times myself and others forget this teaching when we have thought things were at their worst. And the impact they may have on life itself. And yet I know within my soul that this is for our good. My son and I, when he was 6, were in a car accident, a really bad one. I was waiting to make a left-hand turn. Traffic's going by, whizzing by. And all of a sudden, as I'm waiting to, just sitting there waiting, I look into the rearview mirror and see a car barreling down on us on what turned out to be 60 miles an hour. And just before it hit us, I had the mind to, at the point of impact, put my arm in front of my son, release the brake so that the car would hit us, and then slam the brake right afterwards before we went into ongoing traffic, thus not taking as big a brunt of the impact as we would have if I kept my brake on the entire time. The car was totaled, but my son and I walked out of it pretty unscathed. The insurance covered it. And at the time, I was lucky enough to be in class. I was in a science of mind class at the time this happened. And I was so glad that I was, because I was able to go into class and be reminded by my teacher, Dr. Barbara Waterhouse, and my fellow students that this must be for my good. And I was like, what are you talking about? My son is now afraid to get in a car. I had to go to physical therapy for almost 2 years for my back. How could this be for my good? And in the end, the insurance company did not pay up enough for us to buy a car of the equal value and as good a car as what we had. How could this be for my good? But I kept looking at it and was willing to listen to my classmates at the time, listen to my teacher, and delve into the fact that even though I can't see it, this must be for my good, even though I can't not see it. And all of a sudden, we were doing well with it. We got a new car. We were happy with the new car. Life went on. My son was okay. I was okay. And life went on. And then the phone calls started. Turns out that Dr. Waterhouse was so impressed by how I handled the incident that when other people had bad things happen in their lives, she sent them to me to speak to them about the good that can come of it. One of the things I shared was what I did with the brake, letting it up and then putting it down after. Turned out that not a lot of people thought about that, to belay the impact. And before I knew it, that particular piece of information had scattered wide. And I actually, out of the blue, got a couple of calls from people who said that they had used that technique in a crash and it had saved their lives. Who knew? I didn't. I had no idea that what I had done could be of so use to others in a way that could actually save their lives. What good came of it? I was able to save lives. What good came of it? I was able to be of service and use to others in a way that I had no idea was possible. We have no idea what's possible, what can come of the worst of events, or at least what we think are the worst of events. Because in retrospect, it wasn't that bad. At the time, I thought, oh my God, this is horrible. And now I look back on it and go, it was fine. And it helped move me forward because of that experience to recognize that being of service to others was something I was interested in and wanted to do more of that. And so it moved my life forward to where I am now, sitting before you. Now, maybe this would have happened without that car crash, but who's to know? Because of that car crash, I know that led me on to want to learn more about being of service and being before you now. Good comes in the strangest of ways. There's just no knowing about it. There's just no seeing all the different ramifications that can come when an event happens that for some of us can seem so bad. And then, the thing about this particular event is there's this whole other group of people who think this is great. This is the perfect thing that could happen. They might be right. At least they're holding a better attitude about it, because that attitude has to be right. For a while, Ash and I were in this practice of every time something happened that we didn't like, we'd go, this is great. This is great. It must be. So those folks who are now going, this is great, they got a way better idea than the rest of us who are saying, no, this isn't going good. Oh my God. Because it must be great. The way she's being honored, the way she led her life is being shown now, even more so. And that kind of showing is, of course, great. And what comes out of it must be great. There was a time I wanted to build a house on top of a mountain. And I found the best, highly recommended general contractor to come forth and tell us about, and be our general contractor. He came recommended for everybody. This is the best guy. This is the best guy. I told him our budget, and he kept saying, we're going to have to compromise here and compromise here and compromise here. And before I knew it, the house that I had designed didn't look anything like the house I designed, because this guy kept saying we got to compromise here. It would have been it would look like it would be a good house, but it wasn't the house I really wanted. And then the bank refused our loan. So the whole deal fell through. I was devastated. Luckily, I was in class. And being in class really helped. I was also in a men's group with Dr. John Waterhouse. And so between the two, I got a lot of support saying, this is good. This is really, really good. This is going to turn out great. And so I started to believe it because I had the support around me to help me believe it. Because that's what we need, right? Sometimes when we can't believe it ourselves, we need support for that. And asking for support and being in class. I got to tell you, I have been in class at the best moments of my life that have helped me through some of the hardest. You know, when I was my last divorce, I was in ministerial school. I don't know what I would have done without it. Being in class is an incredibly powerful way to be supported during these times. And that's the beauty of Science of Mind. We offer classes all the time. So if you want to be in class, this is the place to do it. We got some of the best teachers out there. Trisha, my wife, and some of the other practitioners, these are great friggin' teachers, and they can teach you what you need to know. So I'm in this class, and I'm going, okay, this must be a really, really great thing. And then one day, about a year later, the guy in the men's circle next to me says, I just got my general contractor's license, and I am really looking forward to my first job. So I looked over at him and said, okay, you got one. We pulled out the plans and put it in front of him. And he said, no problem. I can do this house exactly the way you want for the price you want to do it for. And that's what I wound up with. The most amazing house on top of a mountain. It was stunningly gorgeous. Wood and stone. You should have seen all the magnificent stonework on this house. And the view, it was gorgeous. Everything about it. And how big he built it in terms of stilts so it could be high and have the view, the vista view. It was just amazing. We even had rounded areas he built. It was just amazing. If I'd had it done a year earlier when I was so upset about how that didn't work out, I would have never had the house I loved that I wound up living in for 10 years. I loved that house. It was only possible because I was in class, was surrounded by people enough to remind me that this is good. This is really, really good. And so that's what we did there. That's what this is all about. This is an incredible moment in history. I have no idea what's going to happen next. The only thing I know is that it's going to be good. It's going to be really, really good. You know, Gandhi in California, when Mahatma Gandhi made a stance for the British to leave India, one of the things that happened is he marched a couple of thousand people right up to a bunch of police with sticks that beat each and every one of them to the ground. They had nurses stations set up on the side, so as each one was beaten, without defending himself, he could be taken to these nurses stations and helped. And Gandhi was asked, how does this help your cause? To have all these people beaten. This is terrible. This is really, really terrible. This can't help at all what you're after. Thousands are now hurt, some very seriously. And he said, no, this is good. because we stand for peace. We stand for what we want, and we stand for it in a good spiritual way. I know that good comes out of this. It must, because good always comes out of stuff. Good comes out of everything. And sure enough, the British left India. He was right. That's what's possible. It doesn't matter what it looks like to us. It doesn't even matter what it feels like. The truth of all of it is that everything is for our good. And so, as big a liberal Democrat as I am, I sit here now and say, this is good. This is really, really good. Something amazing comes out of this, far beyond my imagination, far beyond what I think is possible. Something really, really good comes out of this. And I look forward to whatever that is. So how about we do a little guided meditation to remind ourselves of the good that comes out of everything. So take a deep breath, sit back, and relax. Close your eyes if you want to. It's easier to do guided meditations with your eyes closed. And imagine yourself on a path. It is the perfect path. It is your path. The way it feels, what you're looking at, the way it feels under your feet. It's perfect. It's just the right path for you. And it leads to an opening, a sanctuary, your sanctuary. And it's perfect. The view is perfect. The air is perfect. The sounds are perfect. The temperature is perfect. And there's a chair. And you go and you sit down in that chair with a big and you take another deep breath and you relax even more. And now take a circumstance in your life, any circumstance that you have thought of as hard, bad, wrong, difficult, upsetting, get you angry. Choose whatever image, any circumstance works for you. And as you experience this circumstance, remind yourself that something good must come of this, whether you can see it or not. And now allow yourself to really believe that. So much so that you feel the transformation in the circumstance. That even though you don't know the outcome, even though you have no idea what good it will be, you can feel that place where, of course, good comes of this. Don't try to imagine what that good is. Certainly don't limit it to whatever you think is possible, because that's part of how all this works, is when we let go of what we think is possible, that which we can't even imagine shows up. This is that time for you in your circumstance. Feel it as if it's already so. It has already happened. And now feel the gratitude for having experienced this transformation of this circumstance for yours and the world's betterment. Because anything that is for your benefit serves the world too. It must. It's for everybody's good. And when you are ready, open your eyes. There is good in everything. It is ours to remember. If you're having trouble remembering, take a class. If you're not having trouble remembering, take a class. It really helps to be surrounded by peers and a teacher who can absolutely support you all the time in knowing the truth. The truth is, it's all for our good. Thank you. I love you.
God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What I give, I receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am, and so it is.